Dan Galusha, and welcome to another edition of Dan's Fishing Tales. You know, recently I told you that I was going to be talking to you about the tackle that I'm using this year, and that I'd been organizing at that time, and I didn't want to go into it necessarily. In fact, I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible, but I'm going to have a few tips for you along the way. Well, first off, we're just going to get rid of this, because this is not my tackle. This is what I consider, this is what's called a weekender that Plano has had, and this is just my dump all bag. I've got my clips, split rings, anything I need like that. There's also a first aid kit in here, a hook removal kit. That's always handy to have, isn't it? Anyway, it's all that sort of stuff in there. There's also some trimmers like this and a backlash remover, believe it or not. It's got a little hook on it that helps you. So that's one thing you can do to keep it free from all of your other compartments like this, which we'll be getting into in a second. Just get that one out of the way. Now, here's a tip for you. Something that I discovered that I didn't really think would work. That's why I didn't want to mention anything about it before. These are a type of a nylon. Well, they are nylon on these cases. Same way with these. These are all what they call guide series. These are wraps. I presume they still got them. I'm no longer on their promotional staff, and I'd been on it since the late 1970s, but all the mergers and everything, yeah, they dumped a whole bunch of us, and some of the guys I think just quit because they didn't like the new policies. Anyway, I've got all these. I got a lot of Plano stuff. Still use it. I still think it's great. I mean, I'm not going to go against the company just because they've got a restructuring. They got a good product. But here's the tip I was going to tell you about. And these, by the way, are the edge boxes. We'll get to that in a second. These labels right here. This is a regular label machine, and that's what I use. And I never thought that they would stick and stay on there. Well, they've stuck real good, because I took a part of one that didn't have anything printed on it, stuck it on there just to see what would happen. Then I wanted to get it out of the way when I wanted to put these on there. I had a hard time doing it. Now, another spot you can do that, and we'll be talking about this bag in a second too. There's a thing that's called the drop zone, if you don't know what a drop zone is. In fact, I'm going to get this to show you. This is what's called a drop zone, right up here. And you'll notice I put a label on that. In fact, I got one of them here. It's got several labels on it. But it sticks real good to that, but so does this pair of scissors. They stick there too. That's the idea of that drop zone. You know, you got like a crankbait or something like that, you throw it over, the hooks stick to it. Anything that's metal, and it sticks pretty doggone good, as you can see. You just throw it over there and you've got it handy for you to grab. Anyway, that's just a sideline to this. Now we'll talk about, well, might as well put it there to stick it. I'll talk about what I've sorted out here. And this is all my tackle that I'll be using, both shoreline and boat. I know it looks like shoreline. Well, all I do is I get out what I want and maybe put it in like one of those weekenders, throw it in there. If I know a certain type of a lure I'm going to be using. And here's a tip for you right off the bat. If you're a person that wants to get into like jig fishing, worm fishing, or anything like that, I'm talking to you guys that are just straight beginners now, and you want to try to get the feel of it, don't take anything else with you. Just take that, because if you know you're going to catch them on something else, you're going to be wanting, I don't want to mess with it. Okay, take like your plastic worms or your jigs or spinner baits or anything like that, and if you know though there's a place that they definitely will not hit on that thing, don't do that, because you're going to get frustrated. But if you take specifically, like I said, worms, jigs, whatever you're trying to learn, and fish just that with the different ways and get your techniques, learn your techniques on how to do that, and then try to refine them as you're doing it, you'll be a good, whatever it is, fisherman, or at least much better, and it will help you learn as you go along. Anyway, that's a quick tip for you on that. Now, what I've done is, because I put these labels on here, I really had to do something, because you can tell if they all look like this, it's like, where the places did I put so-and-so? And I'm still looking for some of my Roadrunner stuff. You know, it's not in any of these. I'm just not too sure where I set it. But this particular one, I've got on there that this is all of my swim baits. and it's all my finger jigging stuff. So I know immediately that what I have in here is everything that's a swim bait, my bee fishing, my natural forage baits. Those are my swim baits, but I've also got some others which I'll talk about in a second. And the finger jigging stuff, I know that's where I've got my fat shad and my tea shads, the natural forage bait ones, and all of the jig heads, the bee fishing precision H2O jig heads, they're all in here. So everything's there that I can grab for that, and that's what I'm going to be using, of course, a lot, especially with the spinning on the finger jig. Now this one, that's all my spinner baits. Enough said. And that's full of Stanley spinner baits, ones that I had back when I was on their pro staff. And I was on their pro staff for a long time too, but Lonnie Stanley passed away, and from there on it was just kind of downhill. We never had any more connection with them. But they make an excellent spinner bait, by the way. And I've got my vibra shaft, especially my baby wedge. It's one that you don't hear a lot about, but that old baby wedge is a fantastic little 1/8 ounce spinner bait. Now, hooks. I got two different ways that I get the hooks. These are all of my TTI hooks. I've got the True Turn, X Point, Daiichi, and especially my Pro X. I'm using a lot more Pro X now. Excellent, excellent hook. They're a lot like the X Point, but they're made just a little bit different. They're very, very good hook. But this is all my weights and hooks so that I can go back, and this one's usually carried separate or thrown into the boat. Now, all these boxes are full, like I said, of different things. But the one thing that I did keep separate, and I took just a regular edge box like this, are my Blitz blades. And my Blitz blades, to me, they're just kind of an off-center thing from everything else. Close to crankbaits, but still different. I fish them different places. I usually will fish these like I would a rattle trap in colder weather, but the rattle trap I take all the way through. The blades, I don't necessarily do that. I like these in a colder water situation, or if there's a situation of where you want to drop the bait all the way to the bottom and just rip it up and drop it all the way down, or if I'm in a, I shouldn't say every time, all the time, but say there's walleye. Blades, definitely blades. Now, we'll get to all of these bags. This particular one are all my worms. So in here, I shouldn't say all my worms, which again I will talk to you about in a second. All the ones that are in here are the natural forage bait and the bee fish and worms. And I've also got a box in here, one of those edge boxes, that has got more hooks, most of which are the Pro X that we talked about. And these are all different ones that are in here that are all worms, everything related to that. So that was a real quick deal. Like I said, I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. In the back area there too, I've got all of my stuff that we have with the Kick and Bass. Couldn't think of it. The Kick and Bass formulas, they're all there too. Now here's one. It's kind of a cover-all thing. And notice I got it. This is one of them that I use up here, this drop zone. I used it for several different ones. I've got my ripping minnows in here, which are the well, right here. I'll show you because they're different. You can see here, I got them all marked in here. There's my ripping minnows. Got it marked right here. And if you can see in there, you can see what the ripping minnows are like. They're just completely different. They're put out by Northland Tackle, and that's about one of the only things I got from Northland Tackle. The rest of these are like swim jigs. I got my Blitz swim jigs in here. I've got some other smaller jigs, but mainly they're skirted swim jigs on that. You got a lot of the heads. I've got a regular swim bait head that's in there, a Blitz one. But the one thing that I've got, which I just put it up here, Team Crappie, that's all Roadrunner stuff, and it's Team Crappie stuff, like the dragger, the slab dragger, the slab collar, the collar spin that I got. All that is on these outside batches. Now, I was telling you that Not all my worms were in there, not all of this, not all that. Okay, this is where I was going to tell you later. I was going to talk to you. In here is all my, anything to do with Z-Man. That's why I put that up there. So the Z-Man worms, the Z-Man swim baits, the Ned Rig type of stuff, the TRDs, the micro finesse TRDs, the finesse TRDs, all those are right in here. The last one I'm going to show you is back here. This whole box, this is my crankbait box. That's what I call it. And it's simple. You see right here, it's rattle traps, but I got down here Bill Lewis fishing. Because everything that's in here is Bill Lewis fishing. These right here, those are the scope sticks. And I got some there, and I've got some over here, and so I've got them all down in here. And then these stick out because they're a little bit longer ones. I got the ones I want, and as you can see, this is all labeled in here: rattle traps, SB57s, and the MR6 and 12s. They're all right here, ready to go. Got the same thing up here in the front. There's a small one up here that this is another box like this, but much smaller. That contains my tiny traps, which is a 1/8 ounce rattle trap. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be using, and I'm going to put this down before I drop it. And those can be picked up out of the back. I can carry them into the back of my vehicle. I hit the ramp, I can just throw them into the boat ramp, into the storage compartments, whatever. I got everything I need. You can see right here. That's what those slots are for too. I've had people ask me, what the devil they got all these slots? They're just fancy? No, they're not fancy. They're useful. See right there, these hemostats, they go right down in there. So, and the pair of scissors I showed you that go on the drop zone, these will also, of course, they're metal. They'll stick on a drop zone if you have to. Those pair of scissors will go into one of these too. But, in a way, I'd rather carry them right there in this drop zone. Anyhow, that's what I did. I got all my tackle organized. I now have it labeled so I know where it is. I'm not in the back of the vehicle or in the boat like, which one of these did I put that in? Especially when they're all the same color like that and the same design and all that sort of stuff. Anyhow, that gives you hopefully some ideas, and some of the tackle that I'm going to be using might give you an idea of some of that tackle that you might want to use too, so check all those companies out. And until next time, get out on the water, enjoy a great day of fishing.